Good afternoon. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network at 101 Eastern. I'm Robert McNeely on a snow-filled day once again in Washington, D.C. What about this wintry weather where Puxatawny Phil has predicted 6 more weeks of winter? Oh no, we all have to head to sunny Florida in the near future. As we cover the latest from the Trump White House, currently the President of the United States meeting with the Colombian president in the Oval Office that's close-pressed. We will take you there or get some playback potentially to show you what's happening there. That's a high-stakes meeting now. As you recall, the president of Colombia not very fair or even kind to President Trump, and President Trump in his classic style hitting back twice as hard in regards to alleged narco-terrorism and the trade that some of these South American countries are known for. Well, the tune changed after the apprehension of Nicolas Maduro, the convicted or indicted, I should say, narco trafficker. He is under a potential hearing when it comes to these alleged crimes affecting our country. And his next hearing, along with his wife, Ms. Flores, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day in New York City. Now, they are being held in the same high maximum security facility as Luigi Mangione, who is alleged to have killed the CEO of United Healthcare in that terrible shooting over roughly a year and a half ago now. So as we look at all this, the questions come with these high-profile cases as to will liberty and justice stand, and what is exactly taking so long in some of these prosecutions. But then President Trump touching on the upcoming meeting with the president of Colombia happening now just yesterday as Project Vault was announced. If we can cut to 15, Mr. Producer, with President Trump on Truth Social discussing this very important project for the American people and when it comes to mineral rights. Yesterday, President Trump launching Project Vault, a United States strategic critical minerals reserve and public-private partnership to ensure American businesses are not harmed by manufacturing shortages. So this team here assembled, including Secretary Bessent and also Secretary Burgum, stating how big this is, as big as oil and gas exploration, and in fact, the Industrial Revolution was all those years ago. And if we do have that playback ready from yesterday's closed press, which turned into a quick open press conference there in the Oval Office, we could toss that there now so you cannot miss any minute of the updates.
For civilian use in times of emergency, we're pleased to be joined on this occasion by General Motors CEO Mary Barra, who is setting records, huh? I hear you're doing unbelievably. 24 hours round the clock, your factories, and you're building brand new factories. Amazing. Great job, Mary. Of course, it helped that you have a president that knows what he's doing. But it's a great job. Proud of you. As well as founder and executive co-chairman of Ivanhoe Mines, Robert Friedland. Thank you, Robert. Thanks as well to Secretaries Marco Rubio, Scott Bessent, Doug Burgum, Howard Lutnick, and Export-Import Bank Chairman John Yovanovitch, along with Senator Bernie Moreno and Congressman French Hill and Bruce Westerman. Thank you all. Thank you, French. For years, American businesses have risked running out of critical minerals during market disruptions. Today, we're launching what will be known as Project Vault to ensure that American businesses and workers are never harmed by any shortage. We don't want to ever go through what we went through a year ago. Just as we, although it did work out, thank you. Just as we have long had a strategic petroleum reserve and a stockpile of critical minerals for national defense, we're now creating this reserve for American industry so we don't have any problems. This historic initiative will combine $10 billion in export-import bank financing with $2 billion in private sector financing, and we even expect the American taxpayer to make a profit from the interest on the loan used to start the Project Vault. It's an amazing thing. They've been talking about it for years. Other presidents did a lot of talking, but they didn't do anything. Over the past year, my administration has taken extraordinary steps to make sure the United States has all of the critical minerals and rare earths that we need. We're investing in mining projects. We're expediting federal permitting. You know, the federal permitting, and a lot of it is Lee Zeldin, who's been fantastic, but federal permitting is such a big deal. And we're doing that. The permitting of mines and signing major critical mineral deals with countries from all over the world, and we're getting along with all of them. Every one of them, they want to be in the proper position. We're working very well with countries from all over the world today. We're building on these achievements with this vital new reserve. And now I would like to ask Ex-Im Chairman John Yovanovitch to say a few words, followed by our friends from business and Congress. We'll go over that. But we have some great business leaders, the best, here today. And John, if you would start it off, that'd be great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The President gave us a very clear directive. By clear directive, it was much more of an order for us to figure out how to, for the first time in American history, create a strategic critical minerals reserve in a way that would benefit the non-military manufacturing complex. And the challenge was enormous, not simply because it had never been done before, Mr. President, but we knew that you expected us to deliver in a big way, in a way that was scalable, in a way that was designed for long-term success, and in a way that would help revitalize our domestic mining industry. But most importantly, most crucially, that it not be subsidized by American taxpayers. And so that's exactly what we've done. Mr. President, what you've announced today is a truly uniquely American solution. It brings together our capital markets, which are the best and biggest in the world, with our manufacturers, our innovators, our miners, all pitching in to make this possible. Now, these things don't happen without the best and the brightest within industry being at the table. And Mr. President, everyone wants to engage with this administration, with your administration. The key ingredient here was your call to action. Your call to action allowed us to bring together the best players in the market, sometimes the fiercest competitors, getting them to work together to come up with a creative solution. Now, in addition to our great team at the Export-Import Bank, who worked around the clock, led by Brian Greeley, Jeff Wilson, Sarah Whitten, many others, we benefited from having the biggest manufacturing CEOs, the smartest market players at the table, all looking to solve this problem. So what we have with Project Vault is marrying the capital solution with what we need when we need it most. And the best part about it is that the American taxpayer will earn a return on financing the first ever strategic critical minerals reserve in history. And we thank you, Mr. President, for allowing this to happen. All of the people around us today help make it possible. Our cabinet secretaries, our top CEOs, their teams, top market players, whether it be GM, GE Vernova, Boeing, Clarios, Google, Mercurio, especially Brian Fallick, Hartree, Traxxas, our friend Robert Friedland. All of us work together, Mr. President, to deliver this for you, and for the American people, so that manufacturers and workers all across the country can rest assured they'll have what they need when they need it most. So,
and you're covering everything with this. We're not just doing certain minerals and rare earths. We're doing everything.
Everything on the critical.
What about magnets?
We're focused on the critical raw materials, and we anticipate that led by our great manufacturers, will help breed even more solutions.
Great job. Thank you very much. Doug Burgum, please.
Mr. President, again, I want to echo what John said, which is a great thank you to you. You've set the direction, and when you took office, you've done more in the last year for mining and minerals in our country, perhaps than any president in history. Just like drill, baby, drill, you said mine, baby, mine. And what's happened in our country is you've led us through deals with equity deals for the first time. The United States of America is driving equity deals to help sustain and balance this market. You unlocked Alaska with the Amber Road project. That opened up over 1,700 mining claims in Alaska. And of course, on beautiful clean coal, we've got critical minerals that are co-located with that coal, and we've unlocked that. The Biden administration did 0 coal leases during the last 4 years. You've done hundreds of millions of tons of coal leases. That's going to help drive electric prices down in America. Permitting, you mentioned this in your remarks. There was some permits that it's lingered for 29 years. They got done in 4 months last year under your administration. And under your emergency authorities, some of these permits got done in as short as 12 days. You helped create a club of nations to help balance out the fact that we didn't have markets that were functioning around critical minerals. You led off with Australia, Japan, Korea, Saudi Arabia, and Thailand. This week we'll announce 11 more countries that are joining that club of nations as part of this global coalition. And behind that in the pipeline, there's 20 more nations that want to join under your leadership to allow for trade of critical minerals. And then here we stand today with the teamwork that was described. This would not have been possible without the incredible cabinet that you put together. Marco Rubio, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Chris Wright, and many others were involved in bringing this together through the vision. Standing with us today are some of our chairmen of our great congressional leadership who also have supported this and helped us find a way to do this without any appropriations. This is happening without tax dollars. And of course, our team on the ground here at the White House, including David Copley and everybody else at the NSC, David leading the global supply chain work, the folks working with the Ex-Im Bank team, working around the clock to make all this happen. So again, when you lead, when you put out a challenge, the teamwork happens. And then here we stand today. This is the largest Ex-Im Bank deal in the history of the Ex-Im Bank by more than double. And this is going to help drive national security. It's great for American manufacturers. It's great for American workers. Congratulations, President Trump.
Thank you. You're doing a fantastic job, Doug. Thank you. Could I ask Mary Barra, the Chairman CEO of General Motors, which is setting records every single day, and she's doing a fantastic job, to say a few words and also discuss how good the car business is now in the U.S., please?
Well, Mr. President, I want to thank you for your commitment to strengthening U.S. manufacturing and supporting the auto industry. Also want to thank your cabinet and members of Congress and the whole team here that made this possible today. Having a resilient supply chain is critical for our nation, and it's critical for all industry, especially the auto industry. We have been strengthened with many of the different policies that have been put in place over the last year. So I want to thank everybody for that. It not only supports U.S. manufacturing, it supports job creation, it also supports the consumer, so thank you. And business is held very strong. We still see a strong consumer, so I'm excited about 2026.
I think it's going to be a record with all of your new plants opening up and everything else in our country. So, in our country.
Robert?
Please.
Mr. President, thank you so much for what you've achieved. Everything we touch, we either grew it agriculturally and you've helped the farmers, or we mined it. All these cameras you see in front of you, they were mined. Every time you pick up a hand phone, it was mined. And so stimulating the ability for the miners in this country to help you industrialize the country, the salt of the earth, and we're super excited that America is doing something for not only our national security, but for the reindustrialization of the country, because you can't reindustrialize Detroit with a lot of metal. And I'm telling you on behalf of every miner I know, they're elated at the breakthroughs that have been achieved here. They'll make a lot more cameras in the future. And maybe you can help us teach everybody that everything you touch like that, somebody mined it. And we need your support, and we're really happy to get it.
And congratulations, you're in the Hall of Fame. Is that the Rare Earth Hall of Fame or Minerals Hall of
It's a
Fame?
bunch of pictures of dead guys that go back to Herbert Hoover, who was a miner. Mining's down to 1% of the S&P 500, but really everything you touch needs mining. And this is the first administration with your support where we've got hope. We can go out and really do it. So as I last met you in Saudi Arabia with Mohammed bin Salman. We're working in Chile.
Right.
We want to bring these metals back to the United States and refine them and use them right here. And the vision of this administration, Howard Lutnick's been helping a lot. A lot of people at Ex-Im Bank have been helping a lot. I'm just telling you, the morale of the miners is sky high.
You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. Congratulations. That's a big deal. Thank you. How about French Hill? Say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, on behalf of Congress, Chairman Westerman could talk about how he's helped unleash the ability to mine through permitting reform. And Senator Marino and I serve on the House Financial Services Committee and Senate Banking Committee. And we're best in this country when we take the private sector and we leverage it to unleash the directions that you're made. And so together with our reauthorization of the Ex-Im Bank, we leverage that resource with private sector dollars to make this a success. And it's going to be a huge strategic change in America's industrial capacity.
Big difference, right?
Big difference.
There's never been really anything like what we're doing. Bernie, please.
Not to be hyperbolic, but if you hadn't been elected, the auto industry in America would be over.
The country would be
completely over.
The country would be over.
Well, but the auto industry would have been gone first. What the Democrats had done with electric vehicles, the mandates, what you were able to accomplish last year, Secretary Lutnick, what Secretary Bassett was able to do with your leadership, has transformed the auto industry. And I tell you, it's never been better for people in the auto industry. I hear from all my friends. They are elated. And the worst part is that the people that you really saved were the car dealers in California and New York and New Jersey. Right.
And they fought me all the way, Mary, right? They fought me all the way, and now they're saying thank you very much. But you're doing a great job. Thank you, Bernie. Scott?
Sir, as you always say, economic security is national security, and a country does not have sovereignty if we don't have control of our critical minerals, don't have control of our steel production and our industrial base. And thanks to the work of everyone here through your leadership, this was a public-private partnership that only you could have assembled, and we are taking back our sovereignty, and we are going to have this Vault project, a strategic mineral reserve. And I can't tell you how innovative and exciting this is, and the level of security it is going to give us going forward is phenomenal.
And how is your new, and I think new and improved Fed chairman doing? How's that all going?
So he's off to a great start.
I think so.
He had so much built-in credibility, and as the American people, smart people, like Representative Hill, the Senator Marino, they already knew him, and as the American people get to know him, the important thing is that they will be able to trust the Federal Reserve to steer the economy for them.
He's going to do great. Howard, please.
So, prior presidents took America for granted. They let our critical minerals only be controlled by China. They let our mining business go to hell by closing all the mines, closing our coal plants while China opened them. They let our auto industry, right? We used to produce 75% of our cars in America, and when Biden left, it was below 50%. We were just letting all of these industries just be shredded from America. And thank goodness you are in this chair, changing it and taking it back. We are taking back critical minerals. We are taking back mining. We're taking back the auto industry. You're going to watch us take back pharmaceuticals. We're going to take back semiconductors. None of this could possibly happen without your leadership. And it is the most fun to stand back here with your leadership, because we are changing America back and making it great again.
That's very true. Anybody would like to say anything else?
Amen to that.
You guys okay? Everything all right?
Chairman.
Well, thank you, Mr.
You're
President.
such a good man. Go ahead.
It's a great day, and it couldn't have happened without your leadership. And I think people will be talking about this for a long time, because we're bringing back American mining and American manufacturing. You know, God blessed our country with abundant resources. Secretary Burgum talked about the Ambler Road. 49 critical minerals that can be mined in sufficient quantities just in that one area, but from northern Minnesota, Arizona, my home state of Arkansas, we are blessed with all these minerals. They're just in the ground. But when we get them out of the ground and not only mine them, but refine them and process and manufacture with them, it'll unleash great wealth for our country, and that'll just build on all the other successes. So thank you for what you've done. It's a great day.
And how does it feel to be in the Oval Office? Is that crazy? Were you ever here?
No, I've never been here, sir.
Most people have. Mary's been here a little bit, right? But it's a special place. Never been so beautiful either. Yeah, questions, please.
Mr. President, speaking of the Fed, would you like to see Jimmy Pirro drop the investigation into Chairman Powell to help? Senator Tillis has basically said that he's not going to really be working with the administration to help bring war. So would you like to see the investigation?
No, she's going to take it to the end and see. Like, you're doing a small renovation, and they've spent almost $4 billion doing a small renovation. I'm doing buildings. I built a hotel, the Waldorf it's called, and I did it for around $200 million. It's a much bigger job. They're spending almost, it could be $4 billion. I'll tell you what, I don't even see an end in sight. I feel badly for the new Fed chairman, because he may not have an office for 4 years. I don't know what these people are doing. So it's either gross incompetence or it's theft of some kind or kickbacks. I don't know what it is, but Janine Pirro is incredible, and she'll figure it out. But no, you want to take it and just find out what happened, because we can't go around doing a renovation of a small little complex, very small, a couple of little buildings, and spend billions and billions of dollars on it. Something went wrong. We have to find out what it was. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, thank you. Speaking of renovations, you announced you wanted to build a new and spectacular entertainment complex at the Kennedy Center.
Right.
Do you plan on tearing it down, and how much will all of the renovations cost?
Probably around $200 million. And, you know, it's funny, in real estate and building, I've done so much of it. I've done so well with it. You want to sit with something for a little while before you decide on what you want to do. And, you know, we sat with it. We ran it. It's in very bad shape. It's run down. It's dilapidated. It's sort of dangerous. Things fall out of ceilings. You've seen it. And we had some big events there. We had a lot of great events there over the last year. But you can't do any work because people are coming in and out. And you have the workmen. We have a marble man over there the other day. He said, you know, every time I put down a piece of marble, people are stepping on the marble. They don't even have time to dry. And you can't do the same quality job if you close it. And, you know, we're fully financed. And so we're going to close it. And we're going to make it unbelievable, far better than it ever was. And we'll be able to do it properly. I was thinking maybe there's a way of doing it simultaneously, but there really isn't. And we're going to have something that when it opens, it's going to be brand new, beautiful. I'm not ripping it down. I'll be using the steel. So we're using the structure. We're using some of the marble, and some of the marble comes down. But when it's open, it'll be brand new and really beautiful. It'll be at the highest level. We can do a much better job, probably in a way a faster job in terms, you know, because when you do it piecemeal, for instance, they have a play tonight, and you can't do anything. You have to pull out everything, and you can't have stanchions all over the place, and people are walking in to see a play. So we'll be closing it sometime around July 4th. It's like we'll close it on July 4th in order to do something great for America, and then we're going to build it. We have great contractors. We're going to build it, and we'll do it right. We're using the highest grade marbles, the highest grade everything. It'll be brand new. Tremendous carriers putting in the air conditioning, or I guess they're a bidder, but they're probably going to get it. Carrier. We're going to have all brand new air conditioning, heating. The steel will all be checked out because it'll be fully exposed. You know, it's been up for a long time. But as anybody knows, it was in very bad shape. It wasn't kept well before I got there. So we're going to make it, I think there won't be anything like it in the country.
Sir, Mr. President.
Yeah, please.
About your meeting with President Petro later this week, he's been quite critical of you since you spoke back in January after the Maduro raid. What would you like to hear from him tomorrow in terms of drug trafficking in Venezuela? What are your expectations?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, he's been very nice over the last month or two. He was certainly critical before that, but somehow after the Venezuelan raid, he became very nice. He changed his attitude very much. So, no, I look forward to seeing him. He's coming in. We're going to be talking about drugs because tremendous amounts of drugs come out of his country. And I look forward to see. We're going to have a good meeting. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Steve?
Steve Whitcomb is going to meet with the Iranian Foreign Minister on Friday. What are you hoping he'll get out of that meeting?
Well, you're going to have a lot of things are happening. You have Iran, and you have Russia, Ukraine, and you have the Middle East. We have a lot of things going. A lot of problems were here for a long time before I got here. We settled 8 wars, and I think we're doing very well with Ukraine and Russia. For the first time, I'm saying that. You know, I think we're going to maybe have some good news. We're losing 25,000 people a month are being killed in that war, ridiculous war. 25,000. It was 31,000 last month. Think of it. Young, beautiful kids, you know, the kids of parents, their parents. It doesn't affect us in one way, but in another way, it's 25,000 souls that if I can solve it, you know, we're not spending money like Biden did. He gave $350 billion away. I make everyone pay. And the United Nations, you know, they're a little bit involved, but if you look, take a look at what's happening, the countries of Europe are paying us for the weapons. So we have NATO paying, we send missiles over there, they pay us in full. It doesn't cost us 10 cents. And we make money, I guess, but I don't even want to talk about that. Because what I really want to do is save those people from dying. They lose, Mary, can you imagine 25,000 to 30,000 people a month? That's like a stadium full of people every single month. And, you know, I mean, I was blessed with something where I can get these things done. Got 8 of them done. I thought all 8 were going to be more difficult than this one. I thought my relationship with President Putin would give us a, you know, much easier road. But there's tremendous hatred between Zelensky and Putin. Tremendous hatred. I mean, it's a shame, but it's taken longer than we thought. I did call up President Putin, and he's agreed. He's put it out to. They have the same cold wave that we do. Maybe different because it's pretty far away, but it's the equivalent. And Ukraine's a very cold country. It's much colder than us. It's colder than, they say, on average, it's Canada or colder. And on top of that, they have a tremendous cold wave. And I asked him if he wouldn't shoot for a period of 1 week, no missiles going into Kiev or any other towns, and he's agreed to do it. So it's something.
What about Iran's nuclear program? Do you think Mr. Witkoff can do a deal on that?
Well, we're talking about that. We have ships heading to Iran right now, big ones, biggest and the best. And we have talks going on with Iran. We'll see how it all works out.
Mr. President,
the Pentagon released National Defense Strategy last week, and it says...
Where are you from with that, NASA?
I'm from Europe,
Good.
from Lithuania, Baltic states.
Good.
National Defense Strategy says that the U.S. will provide critical but only limited support for European defense. What does that mean, limited support? Will the U.S. still provide...
Well, we get along very well with Europe. I do. Because, you know, don't forget, I got the GDP lifted from 2% to 5%. Nobody thought that could be possible. And they're giving us a lot of that money. We have the best military equipment. We're selling it to NATO. But I get along very well. But Europe has to be careful because, you know, there are those that say it's no longer recognizable between immigration and energy. You know, it's... There's so much potential. In UK, you know, you have the North Sea oil, and they basically close it down. And then they buy energy from Norway, which is the North Sea oil. So you figure that one. And Norway's got trillions of dollars. They have to be careful. You need energy, and you can't do the windmills because the windmills, you're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. So I'm very disappointed. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And they have to be very careful. They're at a tipping point. You have tremendous immigration problems, and you have tremendous energy problems. It's a bad combination.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Christine Holm just announced that you're deploying body cameras to Minneapolis. What's your thinking behind this decision, and do you want to see this?
Well, it wasn't my decision. I leave it to her. They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. So it's, generally speaking, I think 80% good for law enforcement. But if she wants to do that, I'm okay with it. Remember one thing, we closed the border. I got elected on a disastrous border. And we have nobody coming in through our border anymore. We had 25 million people come in 4 years through our border. Many of them were murderers and drug dealers and mentally insane from mental institutions and insane asylums. And now we don't have anybody coming in. For 9 months now, I mean, they actually report 0. We have 0 people coming in, which I find hard to believe, but the Democrats do that report. They tend to be left-leaning that do that report. So I assume it's true. If it's not, it's a very tiny amount of people. But we basically have a tremendously perfect, strong border. And also crime levels are at the lowest point they've been in 125 years. Since 1900, we have the best numbers. And that's despite the fact that we had a lot of criminals and murderers. 11,888 murderers came in. And we have the lowest numbers that we've had in 125 years. So, you know, we're doing a good job. If she wants to do the camera thing, that's okay with me.
Mr. President, there was one homicide in D.C. during January. Do you think this is due to your efforts? And do you think blue states should see this as a sign that they should cooperate with you?
Well, if there was one, I mean, we haven't had one in a long time. D.C. has become a very safe. It was an in-house homicide. It was in-house. It was a dispute within a family. We have had virtually no crime in D.C. D.C. is now considered a very safe place, and it should be. It's our nation's capital. And we sent in the soldiers. I read the Washington Post this week, and it was incredible. They were trying to determine how did we get so low numbers? The low numbers in D.C. because we have very little crime, if any. And they talked about everything except for the fact that we put our National Guard and great soldiers inside our city. They didn't want to mention that. It's how dishonest. Because if we didn't do that, you'd have tremendous crime in D.C. And I get thanked every single day by people that work in the White House. People, young ladies, men, they come up, thank you, sir, for making D.C. so safe. They walk to work now. A year and a half ago, they wouldn't have walked to work. They would have been killed or mugged or something would have happened to them. So it's, it's a great honor, but you got to read the story in the Washington Post. They do it. Crime is way down in D.C. Now, what's the reason for it? The reason for it is we have very big, strong, good-looking soldiers standing around, and I think they make the place look better. But this is our capital, and we have a very safe capital. We had a very dangerous capital before. Yeah,
Sir, yesterday you said you were speaking to people about Cuba to reach an agreement. What
Right.
sort of agreement are you hoping to reach? Is that with the Cuban government?
Well, it's a
What would you
failed
like to see
nation
from
now,
them?
and they're not getting any money from Venezuela, and they're not getting any money from anywhere. It's a failed nation. Mexico is going to cease sending them oil. So I'd like to take care of the people that are here from Cuba. You know, we have many people that came from Cuba that were thrown out of Cuba or that fled Cuba. They came over on rafts. They went through shark-infested waters. I don't know how they did it. And it was many years ago. Many would like to go back. Many would like to at least visit their relatives. And I think we're at a pretty close. But we are dealing with the Cuban leaders right now.
Mr. President, the Wall Street Journal reported that the royal family of Abu Dhabi invested hundreds of millions of dollars in your World Liberty Financial. Can you explain why you decided to take that investment? Was that a transaction?
Well, I don't know about it. I know that crypto is a big thing, and they like it. A lot of people like it. The people behind me like it. My sons are handling that. My family is handling it. And I guess they get investments from different people. But I'm not. I have all I can handle right now with Iran and with Russia and Ukraine and with all the things we're doing. So I don't know exactly, other than, I'm a big crypto person. I'm the one that probably helped crypto more than anybody because I believe in it. And the reason I believe in it is because if we don't do it, Scott, I think we can say then China's going to do it. Right?
Yes, sir.
If we don't do crypto, then China's going to do it. And it's just like AI. We're leading AI by a lot. And if we weren't leading, China would have led. They're very capable. They're very good. What do you have to say about that?
You've made America the digital asset capital of the world. We did the Genius Act for stable coins. Many of the people standing up here are working on the Clarity Bill to
I hope it gets done.
Market structure.
Yeah.
And we're bringing U.S. best practices to an exciting new industry, digital assets, innovation, and it spreads everywhere. So the U.S.
And do you agree that if we didn't do it, China and others would, but China would?
Oh, China would have had the lead, and then others around the world in terrible jurisdictions would have been doing it.
And on Iran, sir, can you say what your threshold military action is?
Well, I can't tell you what I'm going to do because right now, we have a tremendous force going there, just like we did in Venezuela, even bigger. And they'll be there soon, and I'd like to see a deal negotiated. I don't know that that's going to happen, but I mean, if I knew, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't tell you. I'd be very foolish if I would tell you. But right now, we're talking to them. We're talking to Iran, and if we could work something out, that'd be great. And if we can't, probably bad things would happen.
Mr. President, the government shutdown.
Yeah, please.
On the government shutdown, do you think there could be a resolution to this issue? And have you gotten assurances from House Republicans?
Well, I spoke with Speaker Johnson. I spoke with Leader Thune, and I think they're pretty close to a resolution. We were at 5.6% GDP, and we lost 1.5 points because of the 42-day shutdown. Think of that. We would have been at 7. Nobody ever saw a number like 7. And I think, Howard, probably 1.5 points was the number, right?
1.5 for the shutdown. Exactly right.
And it's very bad for our country. But despite that, we have the highest numbers we've ever had. We're doing well. We're going right through it. But I will say that I spoke with Senator Schumer numerous times, and I don't think they want to see a shutdown either.
Mr. President, are you going to sue Trevor Noah? Last night in a post, you alluded that something could be coming.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight, this guy. He's a terrible. I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. It's not watchable. But he was a lousy host. I'd say Not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that, because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. When Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back at them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it. They were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too well. Okay, one more question.
Mr. President, do you have an update on the U.S. troop level in Europe? Are you planning any force reductions?
No, we have a great relationship with Europe. We have a great relationship with our troops. One of the best things that I can say is that if you go back a year and a half ago, so I'm running for election, they had the worst recruitment numbers in the history of our country. Nobody wanted to join the military, or nobody wanted to join the police. Nobody wanted to join the fire departments. We couldn't get anybody to be a proud member of our country. And now, Doug, as I told you before, now we have the best recruiting numbers that we've ever had in our military. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force, we love, and Coast Guard. I love the Space Force. It's doing great. But now we have waiting lists on everybody wants to join. You know why? Because people are proud of our country. Because our country is doing great. I think Mary can say the same thing. You had lots of people not working so well, and now you just wish you could get them in faster. I know that it's hard to get them.
Yeah, we continue to bring people in and have training programs. We're
Right.
investing in the U.S.
Training
workforce.
people.
Yes.
But 2 years ago, you didn't see anything like this. It's amazing what's happened. So we have the number one in the history of our country. We've never had more people that want to join our armed forces than we do right now. And a year and a half ago, nobody wanted to join. They were embarrassed by our country. They were embarrassed by our leadership. And now they're proud of our country, and they're very proud of our leadership, and a lot of the leadership is right behind me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Thank you.
Thank you, press. Let's head out. Thank you, press. Thank you.
So some of that yesterday from President Trump in the Oval Office with Project Vault, and touching on a number of different issues from the economy to the Epstein files, and also what you're seeing in a news cycle that's been rather busy this year as we continue to go through that and cover the local from the Trump White House. We can go through some of Truth Social as well, and some of the more recent posts from the President of the United States on a plethora of different topics, with cut number one, Mr. Producer, President Trump taking aim once again at the fake news New York Times. Again, once a paper that did deny the Holocaust in its entirety. Why hasn't the fake news New York Times adjusted its phony article on the corruption and anti-Semitism which has taken place at Harvard? They never call for the facts or the fact checks because the Times is a corrupt, unprincipled, and pathetic vehicle of the left. They wrote only negatively about me in the last election, and I won in a landslide. To anyone who knows they have zero credibility, a rag at the lowest level. I look forward to watching their rapidly falling circulation force, them to finally close their doors. Should be a great news day in America, and that we can definitely echo here in support of that, Mr. President. As we cover the latest from the Trump White House, and 40 minutes after the top of the hour, we're very grateful for the sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, namely All Family Pharmacy, where right now you can go to RSBN 10, that's RSBN 10, the code for allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. With storms and severe weather disrupting really the entire country, or at least 40 of the 50 states being touched by this winter weather, get all of your essential medications right now in cold and flu season. Antibiotics, antivirals, also ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, methylene blue. Deliveries to access care and get away from the traditional pharmacies that in many cases simply do not prescribe these medications. Imagine already having a flu medication kit at home or a few months of your blood pressure medication on hand instead of trying to refill prescriptions during storm delays. All Family Pharmacy helps make it all possible. Choose freedom, choose the right pharmacy, choose choice and abundance and off-label opportunities with generic medications that, again, simply are not prescribed at other pharmacies. Now, patients can order online. A licensed doctor right here in the U.S. will oversee that, review it, and send it right back to your door, writing the prescription. You do not need insurance, so no red tape, no bureaucracy. Simply professionals on the other side and patriots who want you to have access to this life-saving medication. No waiting rooms, no insurance roadblocks, no last-minute panic. They offer all of what you see there and more. 300 essential medications, including emergency medical kits. It's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Also, we'd like to thank here at the network, Angel Paste, the miracle cream that keeps on giving. The vitamin B original that I use on a regular basis with, again, the vitamin B in there, so good for your skin. Non-GMO, no chemicals, an orange option as well that helps give an influx and a boost of vitamin C during the cold and flu season. Again, non-GMO, no chemicals. You can experience this miracle right at angelpaste.com. They're Christian-owned. They hire veterans. They're based in Spring, Texas, right off the Gulf of America. In addition to that, the facial spray, it's all natural. All of these products good for guys and gals. And guess what? Valentine's Day right around the corner. So maybe a nice gift for your significant other. Angelpaste.com. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history. I'm sure you've seen it in other broadcasts or even across the news streams, but with cut number 14, this very sad situation. Savannah Guthrie of NBC, her mom, Nancy, going missing. She was dropped off after supper on Saturday night in Tucson, Arizona, a gorgeous municipality, a beautiful place, as the search for Savannah Guthrie's mom, Nancy Guthrie, is ongoing. Authorities requesting assistance from the public. Anyone with information is urged to contact 911. Our prayers are with the Guthrie family as we hope for Nancy's safe return. And that's from the White House directly, that outlined with her age and height, weight, eye color, hair color, as you could see there, last seen on January 31st. A very sad story. She was a regular, very involved in the community and her church, and when she did not show up on Sunday morning, some concerns went out there. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos actually getting very emotional about this case, as Miss Nancy has been very, very involved, as I mentioned, in the Tucson, Arizona area, and they're relying on any tip is good right now. Apparently 1,000 plus have come in, but nothing terribly concrete. So our prayers with Miss Savannah Guthrie, and we pray that her mom is found. In a rather bizarre story in these last few hours. Now, Tucson, interesting place that it has very low-level lighting. So you actually have a lot of dark areas, although it is heavily populated. They think that could be part of the problem, especially given these winter nights in the desert. It creates kind of a translucent look if you have not been out there. And given that the municipality itself has voted to intentionally keep out a lot of level of lighting to avoid air pollution as an opportunity to look up at those stars. It really is a glorious place to stargaze. That's part of the reason that it could potentially have been an abduction and no one seeing this take place. But of course, we will report the latest when we get all the factual information on that. And again, our thoughts and prayers with the Guthrie family and also Chris Nanos, the sheriff of Pima County, and his staff. Again, the White House releasing that information and stating that not only thoughts and prayers, but also if you have any tips, 911, immediately reach out to them and the Pima County Sheriff's Office in Arizona. Going back to the top and Harvard, President Trump diving into that with cut number 2, stating that strongly anti-Semitic Harvard University has been feeding a lot of nonsense to the failing New York Times as part of the top story. Harvard has been for a long time behaving very badly. They wanted to do a convoluted job training concept, but it was turned down in that it was wholly inadequate and would not have been, in our opinion, successful. It was merely a way of Harvard getting out of a large cash settlement of more than $500 million. Now, a number that should have been much larger, much higher for the serious and heinous illegalities that they have committed. This should be a criminal, not a civil event, and Harvard will have to live with the consequences of their wrongdoings. In any event, this case will continue until justice is served. Dr. Alan Garber, the president of Harvard, has done a terrible job of rectifying a very bad situation for his institution and, more importantly, America itself. He was hired after the anti-Semitic charges were brought, and I wonder why. As the president stated, after that happening, we are now seeking $1 billion in damages and want nothing further to do into the future with Harvard University. As the failing New York Times clearly stated, some connected to the university, however, think Harvard has no opinion or option but to eventually cut a deal. The administration has repeatedly attempted to cut off research grants from this failing university and eventually cut a deal. But the president concluded the administration has repeatedly attempted to cut off research grants, which would be an untenable crisis. Like many major research universities, Harvard relies on federal funding for its financial model. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Although some of these institutions like Harvard have more money than God from their endowments and from private donors and funders, and that's when they tend to pay attention, especially at the private universities. It's when these situations happen, especially in my tenure. I can remember when President Trump signing that executive order for free speech back in 2019 on the college campuses. And our friend, Justine Brooke-Murray, she was right there for that from MRC back when she was a student to watch all that happen. And we were doing those campus clashes that turned into a number of different titles where you'd see Charlie Kirk go onto the college campuses and have those who would argue with him bring their piece and have a debate as it should be on these campuses. When that executive order happened back in 2019, we were at the University of Iowa, and I could tell you they rolled out the red carpet as a result. But see, they're a public land grant university that heavily relies on that funding from state and federal sources. These private institutions, very, very, very wealthy the world over. And Harvard really being a foundational Presbyterian institution that was once a Christian university. I hope it gets back to that again and really showcases the ideals of not only Enlightenment thought, but also religious liberty, being an institution that is older than the United States itself, starting back in the 17th century. So we hope the best for Harvard, and we will watch that closely as well. President Trump bragging on True Social, as he rightfully should, with cut number 3, the highest poll numbers he's had in either term in the presidency. The highest poll numbers I've ever received. Obviously, people like a strong and powerful country with the best economy ever. And he's taking that prowess not only on the road with him, as we'll be covering midterms 2026. You will be sure to want to catch all of that coverage. President Trump kicking that off in Clive, Iowa, just 10 days ago. With Thomas Massie, cut number 4, President Trump is making his endorsements known and known the world over. People are saying that Thomas Massie became a liberal because his new wife, blessed be their marriage, is supposedly a radical left flamethrower. Now, this new union all went so fast that maybe he did not know what he was getting into, but nevertheless, he is an absolutely terrible and unreliable Republican, perhaps a rhino, or maybe even worse. Now, Ed Galrine, a farmer and war hero, is running against Massey. He is a high qualified individual, and there is no candidate for Congress that could be better. He is running because he realizes Thomas Massey has been totally disloyal to the President of the United States and the Republican Party. He never votes for us. He always goes with the Democrats, and Thomas Massey is a complete and total disaster, and we must make this race big. Kentucky 4, that's going to be one to watch, especially with their primary forthcoming. And as the Vice President, J.D. Vance, mentioned, he said, I like Thomas Massey a lot. You just have to start asking questions. This was at Ole Miss for that Turning Point USA tour. You have to ask yourself, why are you always advocating for the other party? And if you're doing so, perhaps you should no longer be in the Republican caucus. Just kind of common sense there. As President Trump really focused on government funding this week. That's also a big story with a number of House and Senate priorities on the docket. President Trump stating, I am working hard with Speaker Johnson to get the current funding deal, which passed the Senate last week, through the House onto my desk, where I will sign it into law immediately. We need to get the government open, and I hope all Republicans and Democrats will join me in supporting this bill and send it to my desk without delay. There could be no changes at this time. We will work together in good faith to address the issues that have been raised, but we cannot have another long, pointless, and destructive shutdown that will hurt our country so badly, one that will not benefit Republicans or Democrats. I hope everyone will vote yes. And of course, that's something that's been on the forefront of most people's minds in what seems to be very confusing at times, but right, left, and center focused on these Epstein files. President Trump stating emphatically on Truth Social with cut number 6, not only wasn't I friendly with Jeffrey Epstein, but based upon information that has just been released by the Department of Justice, Epstein and a sleazebag lying author named Michael Wolff conspired in order to damage me and or my presidency. So much for the radical left's hope against hope for the radical left, and some of whom I'll be suing. As President Trump actually, he's suing his the tax right now at the IRS. So we see these lawsuits often. President Trump continued with, additionally, unlike so many people that like to talk trash, I never went to the infested Epstein Island, but almost all of those crooked Democrats did that. And breaking this morning, the attorneys for Bill and Hillary Clinton stating that they will be dialoguing with Congress. So that contempt of Congress vote that was on the docket being held right now, and they will give a disposition to Congress regarding these matters. So buckle up. It's 2026. It is going to be extraordinarily interesting each and every day, perhaps every hour, as we get into the weeks and months leading up to the November election. Thank you to mypillow.com/RSBN. The mattress and topper sale going right now as low as $99.99 plus free shipping on the entire order. Promo code is RSBN, easy to remember, 800-836-7566. Call today. Do not delay. Mr. Mike Lindell, what a hero for election integrity. What a hero for honorable living and being redeemed and loving this country, and now a candidate for governor all the way up there in Minnesota. We'll be watching that campaign closely. There are over 2,000 different options there at mypillow.com/RSBN, and we're grateful for your support, but also supporting Mr. Mike Lindell, and in turn to make your night a little bit more relaxing and your day give you a little bit more pep in your step with all these great products, especially the new mattress and topper sale as low as $99.99. Promo code RSBN, mypillow.com/RSBN. We are your go-to election headquarters. Midterms 2026. It is underway with early voting beginning in the prairie state of Illinois in about 48 hours. Actually, 36 hours. 2 days from now, we'll be watching all of that for the St. Patrick's Day election of March 17th. So it is underway. Candidates running and looking to make America great again. So are we right here at the network. But please support us at Right Side Broadcasting Network, rsbnetwork.com/donate, or text RSBN to 801-801. If you like a check or money order, I send those every once in a while myself. 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, the loveliest village on the plains. It's Auburn, Alabama, 36830. That's 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. Again, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. I'll be sharing some more Auburn news in the broadcast today as things continue to grow here. Same with our great company at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you for supporting your go-to live desk and the Rally Network. As we break down the latest from the Trump White House, we'll take a quick commercial break for further sponsors. Don't change that dial. You're on the right side of history.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network at 2 o'clock Eastern and 11 a.m. on the West Coast. So a very good afternoon and good morning to you way out on that Golden Coast in this golden era of America 250 as we cover the latest from the Trump White House. Breaking news just minutes ago. According to the Wall Street Journal, the GOP-led House narrowly clearing a procedural vote in a hurdle on Tuesday to end a partial government shutdown. And this is after President Trump helped staple and push through what he would be able to do to get that on his desk to sign. This procedural measure was called a rule vote, and by the narrowest of majorities, 217 to 215, passing for final vote passage on the government funding bill slated for later today. So we'll be watching all that. If it happens to take place during our broadcast, we'll bring that information to you. The measure advanced after more drama in GOP ranks as several members initially voted no or withheld votes. In the end, only one Republican lawmaker, I'll let you guess who, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, broke with the party. The Senate cleared the passage last week. So some figures on this, as Speaker Johnson stating, we'll figure out a path through this. The legislation provides $1.2 trillion for major parts of the federal government, including the Pentagon, the Health and Human Services Department, and funding DHS through February 13th at current levels. So very, very temporary, really just keeping it open for a week. This is all in lieu of the Democrats stating, because of their anti-ICE position, that they want to break up these 6 bills that were brought into package together. So we'll keep all of you abreast of that information as it continues to break over the channels. Now, with its I had the opportunity last week, actually, to speak to someone who's really quite interesting, because here at the network, we are not necessarily what you would call Christian television, but we are very open about our belief system, about the Judeo-Christian values that built this great nation, our constitutional republic. And regardless of denomination or background, or even those perhaps viewers that have no faith, we agree on that fabric that has brought together the greatest constitutional republic in the history of the world. And knowing that history and where it can lead us is important to reflect upon. We had the opportunity to speak to really a wonderful lady, very involved in Christian broadcasting, also an international human rights attorney, authoring a new book about forgiving her would-be assassin. It's a remarkable story. Virginia Prodan, speaking on not only the beauty and the power of forgiveness, but what has happened in the former USSR, what communism has brought in the last 150 years of existence, especially post-World War II, and warning us of the siren calls and the sounds of those here at home domestically who would wish to throw it all out for socialism and communism. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's international human rights attorney and author Virginia Prodan. And you've written a memoir, Saving My Assassin. Can you dive into this? Because you know very closely what Christian persecution looks like, especially in your native Romania.
Yes, I grew up in communist Romania, and as a lawyer, I defended human rights and religious rights. I was arrested, tortured, placed under house arrest, and the dictator sent a client to my office who put a gun in my face and said, "I'm not here to be your client, I'm here to kill you." And that's the reason why my memoir, published by Tyndale House publisher, it's called Saving My Assassin. By the grace of God, I shared the gospel with him, and he accepted Christ. But that's what God can do in one person, and God used me to change Romania from a communist country to a democratic country. And that's why here in America, I am speaking, I am writing, I have a podcast, I go to interviews like you have me on your program to tell the American people that yes, persecution is real, but God's power, even in one little person under 5 feet tall, I was 82 pounds in Romania, can perform miracles. And I encourage Americans to trust God, to accept the mission that God is giving them, and to see miracles. God can use you and me here in America to change America back to America.
Such a hopeful message. Virginia, can you walk us through how you did just that, to save your assassin, to share the gospel? Was it a mix of personal forgiveness and perhaps even fighting at a policy level, and like you said, speaking up on behalf of those who are persecuted?
I grew up in communist Romania, and I watched my parents being very politically correct. And it's sad that today in America, I don't have to explain anymore what politically correct means. They will give their rights and they will submit to the socialist communist government in Romania. But I also watched them inside of the home whispering how horrible the government was. And as a young kid, I realized I am nobody's person. My parents are too fearful to protect me. The government doesn't consider me a person. And I didn't want to live this kind of life. I was petrified, but also didn't want to live this kind of life. By the grace of God, I have a small family, but we have a custom. We had family reunion every single year. And as a young person, I noticed that my relatives will group around 3 people. And I started to look and see why they do that. And all those 3, they were lawyers. And I realized they knew the law, but they were fearful. So in my mind, I said, I'm going to go to law school and learn everything from the book, and I'm going to speak up. Later on, I realized it was God's way and putting in my heart the desire to go to law school. So I went to law school. I graduated in a top 10% of my class because I wanted to read and learn the law and everything. And after I graduated from law school, and by the way, I don't have the time, but people can go and read my memoir, Saving My Assassin. You can find it at virginiaprodanbooks.com. And you have to realize that under communist, socialists and communists, you do not decide your profession. The government is the one who decides your profession. And even when you finish law school, the government decided where to send me. Let me explain it to you. I didn't know at that time, and God knew that I didn't have to know. But when I applied for law school in Romania, the government looked into my file because they have a file in communist Romania. Government had a file from the time that you were born to the time that you were dead. And they were looking for 3 things. One, if my parents ever organized a revolt against the communist government. The second one, if my parents were ever reported by their kids, that if they said something negative about the communists. And the third one, if my parents were Christians. I didn't have parents Christian, so I passed the test. I went to law school, I learned it very well, and I started to work. And one day I came, after maybe a year working as a lawyer or more, I came to my law office and I put my briefcase on my assistant desk, and I said, as I put my briefcase there, I don't think that I want to be a lawyer anymore. I can't find the truth. And she looked up at me like, what are you dreaming about and where are you? And she gave me 3 files and said, there are 3 clients coming to see you today, and one is in your office. I took the file thinking, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore, but it was painful because that was my dream. And as I walk inside, I noticed the client there. I have been working with him for more than a year. And as I walk there, I remember many times thinking, this man, it's crazy, because he had joy in a joyless land, peace in a peaceless land, and confidence. And many times I would say to myself, this man is crazy, I need to fix him. But I never had the time because I had clients after clients. But this day, with everything that was inside of me, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. Looking at him and his face, full of joy and confidence, I heard myself saying, I want to have in my life what you have in your life. He looked up at me and said, do you go to church? And I stared at him thinking, I knew you are crazy. I don't know why I asked you this question. But he was writing something to me on a piece of paper and gave it to me and said, this is the address to our church. Would you come to our church?
Well, I can hear the conviction in your voice, and thank you for sharing that personal story, because it's so much of an invitation, is it not, for finding the Lord sometimes and the way he works through other people, and finding that immense joy in an otherwise very difficult situation, especially within an oppressive setting with the former government of Romania that you lived yourself. And you're writing commentary on all this on a regular basis, including recently in November of last year that you escaped communist Romania. Do not let Mamdani turn New York City into a police state. Can you elaborate on what you experienced and how the Democrat Socialist movement in America might replicate that of Eastern Europe, or even the things we've seen in Venezuela recently?
Yes, exactly. He is playing the whole things according to the communist rules. He is lying to people that he will bring things free, free, free. That's what communists said. He will bring heaven to earth, and in fact will bring hell, will bring the situation where the government will be in charge of everything, and you are a puppet in their hands, that they will have control over food. They will administrate food wherever they want it. They will say to you, yes, we'll give you these things and everything, but everything will be attached to something. You will have to spy on your friends or your family. You will have to be a spy for, you will look in the mirror and you will not recognize yourself. It's a lie. It did not work. It does not work. But until people realize that lie, the Mandami or whatever other person will lie to American people, they will believe that dream. It's unfortunately that many Americans have experience and have history at their side that they can look, but they don't want to look because they don't want to take responsibility anymore. Many of them, they want to replace as those Mandami and others. They will replace God, who provides everything for us, with the government. No, the government cannot provide anything. The government will put you in jail. The government will ask you to repeat lies after lies and spy on your own people, or even betray your own people and your own family. It's a very dangerous thing that it's happening, and we have to stand up and speak the truth in love. Peter told people and told them, listen to me. You have power when the Holy Spirit comes over you. I receive power, and everything that you are seeing in my life in Romania and here by the Holy Spirit. Don't rely on yourself. Trust God, and he will do amazing things. And we have to stand up against socialists in America, no question about it.
Oh, and absolutely, given the history back to Soviet Russia and now with the Chinese Communist Party, the large threats that threaten mankind and the entire world as we know it. But you're taking all your skills and talents, Virginia, over to the NRB's International Christian Media Convention. That's coming up February 17th through the 20th in great Nashville, Tennessee. Tell us about it, some of your goals of the conference, and what people can find there if they choose to go.
Yes, first of all, it's an honor and a privilege. I have been with NRP for several years. I am on the President Council, and I am honored to be speaking with a group of people there about freedom and what freedom is all about. It's a great opportunity to be with freedom fighters not only from America, but all over the world. Troy Miller is a great, absolutely a great leader who transformed this NRB from the time that he took charge as a president, and is doing amazing, absolutely amazing things. Anytime I go there, and I have been there for several years, it's always like, oh, this is the best year. This is the best year. And I cannot imagine, I know it's going to be the best year this. So it's in Nashville, November 17 to 21st. Has great opportunities for everyone. They can still register. They can still find the nrb.org. They can find the schedule and everything. And again, I say I'm honored and privileged to speak and to be in contact with a lot of radio, television, speaker, authors, and freedom fighters, that we can put our voice together. I'm just a piece in the puzzle, and everyone that listens to you can be a piece in this puzzle, that we can create the wonderful picture of Jesus Christ, who is saying to each one of us, repent, turn from your wicked way, and I will heal you and heal the land. And that's what Christ wants to do. And for America, and NRB is focused on that, and I'm grateful to be part of such an amazing organization. I'm also part of Alliance Defending Freedom. It's a group of lawyers that take cases and protect freedom of religion. Many times I said I was a troublemaker in Romania. I am a troublemaker here for Christ, and a person who wants to encourage everyone. You said I use my skills. God gave each one of us skills. You might have the skill with computer. You might have the skill with radio or any other skills. Every skill is important. Just because I speak here and I speak with you, it doesn't mean that we have the best skills. We have the skills that God entrusted us to use for his glory. And everyone has to use their own skills. So stand up, speak up, use your skills, and God will do amazing things to transform America. Come to NRB, see how wonderful this convention is, and how it will change your view and will energize you to do things that God put in your path, and skills and talent that you can use. We need you. God needs you. But if you don't want, don't worry. God can find someone else. You are the one losing. So don't lose it. Use your talents.
A wonderful message, all guided by the Holy Spirit, clearly coming through you, Virginia. Once again, and Mr. Troy Miller, thank you to him as well. He's been on the show on a couple of occasions, and we look forward to following and seeing more from later this month in Nashville, Tennessee, NRB's International Media Conference for this Christian movement, this good movement of people coming together to share the love of Jesus Christ. Again, where can we find your book, Saving My Assassin?
Saving My Assassin. This is a book. It's you can find it at virginiaprodanbooks.com. I usually sign the book, and you will have this book signed. So again, virginiaprodanbooks.com. I want to mention to you, I know that Troy Miller has an amazing job. You mentioned that I use my skills and talent, but I know that if Troy Miller will be here, will agree with me. We are grateful for you using your talents and your gifts, and for the grace of God, and giving us an opportunity to express how we use our skills and encourage others to do the same. So we are grateful for you too.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Right back at you, as that's what we like to showcase here on the right side of history. Everything that's happening not only within the church, but how it shapes Western civilization as a whole. And you're doing just that. And in the Music City, we will see that in a couple of short weeks. It's Virginia Prodan, once again, an international human rights attorney and author. Get her book. I'm going to myself because I'm a huge fan of those signed books, especially the great people like yourself that I have the opportunity to speak with.
Thank you so very much for having me, and thank you for using your skills for God's glory.
With all the storms hitting us recently, 40 out of 50 states experiencing extreme winter temperatures in addition to snow and ice all throughout the country. So as we cover the latest from the Trump White House, smart to access care immediately, conveniently with allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Code RSBN10 for 10% off right now. Choose freedom. Choose the right pharmacy. Scan that QR code there for 10% off of all essential medications, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, methylene blue, NAD+, among others. In fact, 300 essential medications, including emergency medical kits. Imagine already having flu medication kits at home, ready to go during this season where the flu does skyrocket. We've had some really nasty cases out there. And think about having blood pressure medication on hand. We're filling prescriptions during the snowstorm. That's all done. And you can have access to that in case roads get icy or slick at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. The patients can order these prescriptions, these generic off-label, online with a pharmaceutical note, even speaking to a doctor on the other end who reviews it and sends it right back to your door. No waiting rooms, no insurance roadblocks, no red tape, no bureaucracy, simply life-saving medications in real time. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Once again, RSBN10 for 10% off today. Also, thank you for viewing us here on the Right Side of History. You can support us as well at Right Side Broadcasting Network, rsbnetwork.com/donate, or text RSBN to 801-801. In addition to that, you can send a check or money order to 1550 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344. It's the loveliest village on the plains, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Once again, 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama, 36830. Thank you for supporting us on the Right Side of History as your go-to live desk and election 2026 headquarters as we take it to the streets and talk to you, the American people, as President Trump will be barn burning once again across the country, changing up some of the practices of the past. And although his name not physically on the ballot, figuratively speaking, with a number of different successes, victories, and items that Republicans intend on fighting for this cycle. And from the GOP team, in fact, border encounters plunging to the lowest level in more than 50 years. An email coming through the comms department based on a new Pew report that encounters at the southern border, stating it's dropped to the lowest level in more than 50 years. In 2025, encounters with migrants at the U.S.-Mexican border fell to their lowest level since 1970. So remarkable to think about when Richard Nixon was president of the United States. The historic success at the border is the latest accomplishment for President Trump and Republicans in making America safe again. The murder rate hitting a 125-year low. In fact, Washington, D.C., nearly an 80% drop in rate in homicides. An amazing success story. Drug overdose deaths are down 20%. Carjackings down 61% since 2023. This is nationwide. Aggravated assaults down 9%. Gun assaults down 22%. Robberies down 23%. Residential burglaries down 17%. And non-residential burglaries down 18%. RNC spokesman Nick Posh stating that the border is secure and Arizonans safer, but radical Democrats Katie Hobbs, Ruben Gallego, Mark Kelly are leading the fight to defund law enforcement and cartels take back control of the border. It is shameful that Hobbs, Gallego, and Kelly continue to side with violent criminals over the safety of Arizonans. So we're watching all of that as breaking news across the channels. I was mentioning that vote on the funding bill. It has now been approved. The House has approved a government funding bill that would end the partial shutdown and now heads to President Trump's desk for signature, but very temporary, as this will be addressed yet again next week. You might be aware of the show we had, The Voice of Reason, here in the last year in the summer into the Christmas holidays. We had a theme called This Day in History, and one too important to pass up on this very day, February 3rd of 1870, when the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution ratified, and this expanding constitutional protections for the right to vote. Now, the 15th Amendment, Section 1 states, and this is according to constitutingamerica.org, the right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. The amendment was passed by the United States Senate on February 25th of 1869, and by the House of Representatives on February 26 of that same year, before being submitted to the states for ratification. Upon approval by the constitutionally required 3/4 of the states, the amendment became part of the Constitution less than 1 year later. So some history for you, post-Civil War, and becoming a more perfect union as it was envisioned nearly 250 years ago. Now, with that and everything happening inside and outside the Beltway, we'll take some more from President Trump on Truth Social with cut number 7. And Prime Minister Modi and India, President Trump stating it was an honor to speak with Prime Minister Modi of India this morning. He is one of my greatest friends and a powerful, respected leader in his country, who spoke about many things, including trade and ending the war with Russia and Ukraine. He agreed to stop buying Russian oil and to buy more from the United States and potentially Venezuela. This will help end the war in Ukraine, which is taking place right now with thousands of people dying each and every week. Out of this friendship and respect for Prime Minister Modi, and as per his request, effective immediately, we agreed to a trade deal between the United States and India, whereby the United States will charge a reduced reciprocal tariff, lowering it from 25% to 18%. They will likewise move forward to reduce their tariffs and non-tariff barriers against the United States to zero. Now, the Prime Minister also committed to buy American at a much higher level, in addition to over $500 billion of U.S. energy, technology, agricultural, coal, and many other products. Our amazing relationship with India will be even stronger going forward. Prime Minister Modi and I are two people that get things done, in all caps, something that cannot be said for most. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So some developments there, as President Trump also showcasing and sharing what can happen when lawfare happens, not only to him, but to two great American patriots and dear friends of the network here, Mr. Steve Bannon and also Mr. Peter Navarro. So much they've sacrificed, the nonsense that they went through, and the lawfare, and literally serving on behalf of fighting for the American people behind a jail cell as a result of the far left. And we have a picture of them with cut number 8, President Trump stating on Truth Social, two very good guys were treated so unfairly by Sleepy Joe Biden, but now they are bigger than ever. President DJT, and that truth to power and remaining safe while behind bars. And that takes a lot of courage to do that. But now, as they say, they will have the last laugh in all of it as they continue to fight for the truth. Cut number 9, Mr. Producer, President Trump might actually put out a beautiful arch in Washington, D.C. This will connect over the bridge there in the Potomac. India's beautiful arch. Ours will be the greatest of them all. President Trump giving a preview there. While people seem to criticize him over that, but I think it makes the architecture look even more lovely in the federal city. Now, again, some of the safest streets we've seen since the year 1900. Have you had the chance as well, Mr. Producer, to see Melania? This documentary is really getting everyone's attention. As Forbes mentioning on, and President Trump sharing via Truth Social, Melania was originally projected to gross an estimated $2 million to $5 million, according to projections from Box Office Pros. But the $7 million gross that it's made thus far is the best opening for a documentary in the last decade, beating the $5 million record set by Angel Studios in 2023 after Death. And they're putting out some great content as well, including their most recent film, David, the animated series based on the life of King David of Israel and the book of Samuel. And it was special to watch that with the youngest family members in my family as well over the Christmas holiday, because recently at church going through Samuel, and once you watch something depicted, whether it be a cartoon to a live film like The Passion of the Christ or even the Resurrection of the Christ coming out next year, you're able to really see the Bible come alive. Or if you visit these locations throughout the world, you're able to really take a step into it and have that mental clarity and vision of the words coming off of the page. And that makes a big difference sometimes, because sometimes you forget these are actual people and a historical document of things that did occur. And as with this documentary, Melania, was something that we're living in the front row of history, as many put it. So very excited to see the film, and congratulations to the First Lady, and thank you to her as well for giving us really a sneak glimpse into 20 days leading up from becoming a private citizen to once again being the First Lady of the United States. Of course, you can get all America First updates and exclusive offers here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. There you can like, share, and subscribe, so be sure to do that. Get all the updates to know when we're on each and every day, but also to go in depth on the big issues facing our country and to take a deep dive. We have great writers here at the network on a whole host of different issues. I hope that you didn't have to watch the Grammy Awards on Sunday night, but if you did, President Trump talking about that, they're the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter their airwaves any longer. Now, the host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the low ratings Academy Awards. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to Epstein Island, nor anywhere close. And until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty of money. Ask little George Slapalopagis and others how that all worked out. And ask CBS. Get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you, President DJT. And that's really a shame. I mean, you can't slander and libel, and that's what the no-talent, classless MC Trevor Noah did the other night. But there are some hopes there. Besides all the bizarre messaging, I'll let you go through all of that, between Justin Bieber performing in underwear to Heidi Klum wearing a bodysuit, and perhaps their alleged ties to a certain Jeffrey Epstein. We'll let liberty and justice take its course, and we'll continue to watch all these documents as they come out. But President Trump has a country to run, and with cut number 13, people feel as if certain politicians aren't listening to them. And if we could play this in its entirety, a father of a daughter, an angel dad from the great state of Illinois, speaking out on what happened to his daughter and the failures of Governor J.B. Pritzker.
The person that killed Katie, Julio Cucabol, who was using an alias, who couldn't read or write English or Spanish, he was using a Kaichi language, barreled into them at 80 miles an hour. Katie died on the scene. He fled the scene. So you hear a lot of this like, oh, you're separating families and you're disappearing people. Well, I was separated. Katie's been disappeared. Why is there no consideration on that for Katie? When am I going to get a phone call to say, let's go to Springfield and protest Governor Pritzker's radical policies? He nullifies federal law. He tells Congress that immigration's their purview. He nullifies it, basically comes up with his own immigration plan, which is nothing. Clearly, it was nothing. He allows hundreds of thousands in. Katie, and more than, Katie wasn't the only victim, and he's got nothing but silence for us. Unfortunately, Renee Good in Minnesota, 2 seconds in, he's in front of the mic. I don't understand the one-sided compassion. Apparently, Katie does not qualify for any compassion from our governor, J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you to mypillow.com/RSBN for a deal like no other. We know President Trump, talking about Mike Lindell, back in April at the 100-day celebration in Warren Township, Michigan, that he's the master marketer. And we see it once again with the mattress and topper sale as low as $99.99 plus free shipping on the entire order. It's mypillow.com/RSBN. Call today. Do not delay. 800-836-7566. Again, 800-836-7566. Promo code RSBN. Support Mike Lindell and Right Side Broadcasting Network. Shop now, mypillow.com/RSBN. Candidate for governor of Minnesota. I'm so happy that, well, I won't claim that I made the call on that, but I was thinking it would happen. I'm glad to see it's taking place. Mr. Mike Lindell, a dear friend of us here at the network. And as we continue with our coverage today, we are also very grateful for All Family Pharmacy. There's no question about that. It's allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use code RSBN10. You're used to that if you've been watching for a period of time now for 10% off of these life-saving medications. It's antibiotics, ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, methylene blue, antivirals, and emergency medical kits. In fact, over 300 essential medications there for you. So I'll walk you through how this works, because with storms and severe weather, you can have delays and your life-saving medication is not there in the height of cold and flu season now in this first week of February. Access to care is so important for many Americans, and the fact that some pharmacies simply do not prescribe these life-saving generics that are off-label, they don't see it as worth their time for a number and a slew of reasons. Imagine having flu medication there ready to go when you're already sick, so you don't have to scramble to get outside, especially in these poor weather conditions of the winter. Instead, having the medication on hand ready to go is simply common sense at this point. All Family Pharmacy makes this happen in the most convenient of matters, because all you need is a pharmaceutical note. A licensed doctor on the other end will prescribe it, send it to you, review it, writing the prescription, and no waiting rooms, no urgent cares with everyone hacking in the corner. That's always uncomfortable. And no insurance roadblocks. Again, they offer ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, methylene blue, antivirals, antibiotics, emergency medical kits, and many of these FDA-approved medications and drugs that have been on the market for nearly 75 years, all available to you for an effective price. allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Choose freedom, choose your right to try, and choose the right pharmacy. And whether it's online or in person, the best out there, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Code RSBN10 for 10% off. Now, Americans overwhelmingly support deporting criminal illegals, according to the White House. Now, local cooperation with ICE is something Americans want to see. As radical left Democrats continue their reckless obstruction, and we saw that some of that play out in Congress, although they seem to have failed on this recent bill. 2 new polls resoundingly confirm President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration is massively popular with the American people, from mass deportations to the removal of illegal aliens via ICE or Border Patrol. Again, they're different, or even local and state law enforcement. The American people are rallying behind President Trump's agenda to make America safe again. And the Democrats simply have an extremism that's out of touch, with maybe an exception of one person from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who has pleaded with his fellow Democrats, Mr. John Fetterman, the United States Senator. You have to give credit where credit's due. He does not like the language of Nazis and fascism and Gestapo being thrown at our brave law enforcement agents. Now, a new poll underscores Americans' broad agreement on the fundamental of President Trump's border enforcement. In fact, 73% agree that entering the United States without permission is breaking the law. 61% support deporting illegal aliens to their home countries. 58% reject Democrats' extremist calls to defund ICE, now a core position of their party. 54% supporting ICE enforcing the nation's federal immigration laws. Title 8. Wow, what a concept. A second new poll revealing even fiercer alignment with President Trump's decisive action to protect our communities from illegal aliens, with a solid majority approving of President Trump's strong response to the anti-ICE raids in Minneapolis. Also, 73% say criminal illegal aliens should be deported, with over half extending to that of all illegal aliens with no lawful right to be here. In fact, the administration rolling out that plan to give people stipends and the success that has been seen there in people self-deporting so they can come back legally, a novel concept and a great idea in order to make America safe again. Now, 67% want state and local officials to cooperate with federal authorities to deport criminal illegal aliens, including 64% of independents. Now, 67% say local jails should hand over criminal illegal aliens to federal authorities for swift deportations. Now, this is backed by 62% of independents and even 50% of Democrats. We know as recent as the Obama administration and the 2008 campaign that Barack Hussein Obama was for strong borders and for securing them. In fact, the newest gubernatorial candidate in Minnesota on the Democrat side, Senator Amy Klobuchar, in 2006, in that election just 20 years ago, calling for a border wall. Amazing how that's changed over 2 decades. 60% of see Democrats as actively encouraging resistance to ICE officers simply trying to do their jobs and keep America safe. And 57% of Americans oppose elected officials stroking chaos and inciting it by urging defiance against ICE. Now, these results simply expose the extremism of the radical left. While Democrats fuel lawlessness and chaos every day, Americans standing firm for law and order here in America, wanting to deport criminals, reclaim sovereignty, and restore safety. So again, common sense coming back to our streets so that the agenda of America First can ultimately thrive. Now, across the board, we do see that there's wide acclaim of President Trump's new nominee for the Federal Reserve, something that's coming into a number of publications. His name is Kevin Warsh as Fed chair. So just this week, President Trump announcing his nomination as chairman of the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Mr. Warsh is exceptionally well prepared to lead the world's most influential central bank. Now, with a distinguished background, including degrees from Stanford and Harvard Law, prior roles as a Morgan Stanley executive and top economic advisor to the Bush administration, and service as the youngest ever Federal Reserve governor, which helped steer the institution through that 2008 financial crisis. If you remember that, when that was a big-time bailout of Freddie Mae and Fannie Mac. Now, the nomination has drawn widespread praise from lawmakers, business leaders, financial experts, and industry voices across the spectrum. From Senate Committee on Banking, Housing Development, and Urban Affairs Chairman Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, Senator Jim Banks of the Crossroads of Indiana, also Marsha Blackburn, who hopes to be the next governor of the volunteer state of Tennessee, to our very own Senator Katie Britt, who was just celebrating her birthday here in the Yellowhammer State. Happy birthday, Senator Britt, stating that congratulations to Kevin Warsh on his nomination to serve as the next chair of the Federal Reserve. Kevin brings a deep expertise and proven track record in monetary policy, and with that, including years at the Federal Reserve, where he helped our nation navigate some of its most economically turbulent times. He is an exceptionally qualified candidate. I look forward to supporting his nomination. Senator Shelley Moore Capito speaking highly, as well as Texas Senator John Cornyn, to Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas, stating, I commend President Trump nominating Kevin Warsh to become the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. I look forward to working with him and President Trump to making life more affordable for Arkansans. Senator Lindsey Graham, who at times was voting with the other side a lot, even praising this and saying, great pick, Mr. President. Again, Senator Bill Hagerty of Tennessee as well, joining in the echoes and the choirs of those from across the country, including Senator Roger Marshall, saying that Kevin Warsh is an outstanding choice by President Trump to serve as the next Fed chair. His experience and expertise now exactly what the country needs to get right back on track, and I'm sure many Kansans agree with that assessment. Tommy Tuberville, the coach, our senator here in the Yellowhammer state of Alabama, and looking to be the next governor, stating congratulations to Kevin Warsh, who will do a great job as the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. The president made an excellent choice. Time to cut rates. And of all people, shockingly, besides those so-called experts in the economic councils, the Prime Minister of Canada joining in those echoes and choirs of praise for Mr. Warsh. So we'll see that as a very complicated job, not an easy one by any means. But we wish Mr. Kevin Warsh a lot of success as he will be taking over for too late Jerome Powell. So some of the latest there, covering everything inside and outside of the Beltway for you today with the Trump White House. Also, if there's a story in your neck of the woods, if you wish to opine, please feel free to write in feedback@rsbn.tv, feedback@rsbn.tv, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you care for the selection of ties that I wear or any topic it might be, feel free to reach out to us, as we are joined by a superstar in her own right from the Daily Caller in Washington, D.C., where it seems to be kind of cold and snowy still. Ashley Barasfield, Capitol Hill reporter for the Daily Caller. How's the weather out there? Are you doing okay with all the cold and all the snow? She's a Florida girl, so that could be a little bit difficult sometimes.
Yes, Georgia by Florida, of course. It's a little chilly for me still here. We still have snow on the ground, ice. You would think that DC would be able to handle some of the snow a little bit better than I thought they would. We still have piles and cars stuck currently, and I think we're expecting some more snow at the end of the week. So hopefully we can get some of that straightened out. But it's good to be with you guys.
Well, always lovely to have you. And as the Eagles said back in 1994, hell freezes over. And I think we just saw that on the House floor. It's breaking that. This temporary funding going to the president's desk. So do the Democrats have any messaging going into 2026, or will they once again be able to shut down the government and try to stop the funding for national law enforcement as they try to clean up the streets?
Yeah, well, I think they've kind of been successful in this, being able to stop the Republicans from even putting things like the SAVE Act and measures like that in the omnibus funding here. Of course, Republicans have a very slim majority after Democrats just swore in another special election in Texas. So I do think that they have an advantage here. I do think the president knows, though, he has a way forward with the SAVE Act going on in the Senate from now on. That is the next step, I think, in what the agenda should be going forward in Congress. But I do think this omnibus has been quite the battle. They were successful in a partial shutdown. Of course, it wasn't in the factor of replacing any of these law enforcement agents that they're so angry about across the country. So affecting people that are like Washington, D.C., snowed in, has severe weather. So with that FEMA funding for DHS, that's another area they've seen it, as well as TSA. So, the Democrats, I think, have won a little bit on the commentary there, but I think there's some room for Republicans to take advantage as well.
Very interesting to watch this all get digested. So we have Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, others in the House side, some on the Senate side, really wanting to push this because then we have those free and fair elections. Then really, I guess no one could complain ultimately, because I think that's something that has united Americans with all of this vote by mail, mail-in ballots. Everyone has their preferences, but you hear a lot with these close elections, especially the ranked choice states out there where right, left, and center, all these candidates, the campaigns complain about the other person did not win. And then you see this getting litigated and stuck in the court system. President Trump calling for perhaps a nationalizing of elections. Do you think we could see something like that after the passage of the SAVE Act? And what are the chances that it gets through on its own?
I think that there's some skepticism from Republicans right now of how the SAVE Act can actually get through on its own. Chuck Schumer has threatened to filibuster any effort to get this across, saying that it resembles Jim Crow laws. We saw this exact same argument being placed in Georgia using voter ID by the one and only Stacey Abrams in my home state just years ago. And it got to the All-Star game for baseball taken out of the state, and a lot of opportunity and economic opportunity in that metro Atlanta area. But also we've seen that the DOJ and people like Director Gabbard going to Fulton County to check on those election precincts in places like Georgia. But I mean, this is a long-term effect if they do not do this going forward, whether it be with voter ID and proof of citizenship here. And we even go back to the idea of the censor, and that basically that JD Vance outlined in his Joe Rogan interview, that they're counting households with illegal immigrants living in them, which affects, districting in general within each state. So this is a huge issue, and I think it's going to have the long-term effects going forward if you do not address them. And I think Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, they were reassured by the president when they visited the White House that this is going to have some, traction in the Senate going forward, because I do think it is one of those principles that we saw on the campaign trail from President Trump when you and I were covering it, that he wanted this done to ensure that nothing was going to happen like 2020 going forward.
We use so many things for our IDs, from purchasing alcohol to buying a car and getting on a plane, among countless others throughout the day, to pull that identification out. So I think it does fall flat that these Democrats trying to push that Jim Crow language, which is just so offensive in and of its own right. And Georgia, I guess my adopted home state, your home state, has really become a microcosm for the American argument as a whole. Now, some other big breaking news this week, Ashley, the Clintons, that contempt vote being held up and stopped. They're going to offer their comments and their evidence on perhaps what happened or did not happen with so-called Jeffrey Epstein. Any fallout from that on the Hill with the former president and Secretary of State coming to the federal city.
Right. Well, I'll believe it when I see it is the first thing I say. I've had to move this date on my calendar for over 5 months now when they did not show up for their oversight testimony just weeks ago. So the talks between the lawyers obviously were not working out with oversight and with the Clintons' lawyers. You saw those letters that they put out from their lawyers and themselves being dramatic about the idea of having to show up and testify, even though we've seen the pictures released with Bill Clinton and Ghislaine Maxwell with Epstein, multiple private jet visits. So just asking simple questions that they could honestly come and plead the fifth on if they were to testify. They just refuse to show up because, as we all know, people in Washington, D.C. feel they're exempt due to their power to have to answer questions at this point. I think a lot of the American people feel this way. But the Epstein thing, once again, we've been talking about this also for months. It's not gone away. People are fascinated by this. The rich and powerful implicated, the intelligence ties, where the money was coming from. I think this story is never ending, and it's a headache, not only for this administration, for administrations past, as we've seen. So I think we're going to continue to see this playing out. But I will believe it when I see it, when I see the Clintons walk into the halls of Congress to come testify.
And do you anticipate a closed door deposition, potentially, as you said, if it even does happen?
Yeah, I think that's what happened a lot with these Biden administration officials, that they all agreed to a closed door testimony. We might get some video snippets that oversight releases after the case, but I can't imagine a deal of the Clintons not being made, especially with their lawyers, that it wouldn't be a closed door deposition, as we know, with so many of the other Biden administration officials here.
Well, it's frightening to think about, because Congress can lie to us and sometimes former presidents, but if we lie to Congress, that could be a federal offense. But it seems as if that you have access to really, really, really good attorneys. You might be able to get away with that. And that's, I think, been the complaint of the Clintons going on now for over 25 years plus in their long political life, now as private citizens. And let's hope to keep it that way, as I don't think Hillary's ever done running for president necessarily. Now, on a lighter note, you had the opportunity to go to the premiere of Melania, this documentary shattering records over the weekend. Tell us about the Trump Kennedy Center.
Yes.
And what that was like on the red carpet.
Oh, it was the best time. You don't get a lot of opportunity in Washington, D.C. to cover a red carpet. You kind of feel like a Hollywood reporter in a lot of ways. But it was a great premiere. We saw multiple cabinet officials walk down the red carpet for the premiere. We had Dr. Oz. We spoke to Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, appearances from RFK Jr., Alina Habba, you name it, they were there. And we saw special appearances, of course, that did not walk the carpet from people like Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots, and going into the Super Bowl this week. I think that's notable. Nicki Minaj, of course, being one of those people that showed up to the premiere, as well as the Trump accounts events the day before. So many notable faces. And then, of course, the last I would say the best to walk the carpet, President Trump and the First Lady Melania Trump, the star of the show. And we were able to ask them a lot of questions. President Trump was very gracious with his time. We were able to ask him what the family thought, what Barron thought of the event, of the movie and the film. He said he loved it, and the Don Jr. would be in the crowd that night. And First Lady, I asked her what the message behind the film is, and she listed off a lot of, just characteristics of what you would feel during the film itself. One notable one being love, sadness, grief, excitement, walking through those 20 days that they followed her along in her film. I wrote a great Substack piece of my night. They had a great photo booth, and we had popcorn. The film was great, very well done cinematography. But I encourage everybody to go see it. It was quite the night.
And what does it look on the inside, the Trump Kennedy Center? Because I haven't been there since the renovations and since Richard Grenell has gotten involved in all of it. So what's the building itself look like inside the structure as we reclaim the arts in this country?
Yes, well, I know they opened up at the top of the building a cigar lounge previously, but actually President Trump, just a few days after the premiere, actually, he said that the Trump Kennedy Center would be closing in the months coming for renovations for the next 2 years. So I think we're going to see a lot different from the building as far as interior design going forward. I think they have a lot of plans. I even asked this actually myself when I was at the premiere, saying, when is this going to happen? And we got the answer just days later. So I think it's got a lot of the same integrity that you would think now. It's a beautiful building, of course. The actual theater itself inside is it's got some characters that are, from the 80s and things like that, but it really is beautiful.
Maybe the Grammy Awards will go there next year, as I think Jelly Roll was the only thing that was special about that night. But I don't know if you watched it all. Any takeaway from what really seemed to be a bizarre red carpet compared to the Melania premiere with bodysuits and Justin Bieber performing in underwear? Some really strange mixed messaging, as I thought Trevor Noah, I agree with the president, was a rather awful and unfunny MC.
Yeah, well, I think that these award shows have struggled overall. I go back to, I think, the last award show that I thought was actually well done, and it was when Ricky Gervais, I believe, was hosting the Golden Globes. And of course, he had the iconic monologue that he said, thank your God, get up, thank your, mom, and get off stage. And I think that's kind of what the American people feel like at this point with celebrities. I mean, if anything we learned from the last election in 2024 is that the American people don't really want to be lectured by these people in higher up places or singers that really don't know anything about politics. And of course, we saw individuals like Justin Bieber, Hailey Bieber wearing Ice Out pens. I think one of the most notable speeches was from Billie Eilish saying that you can't be an illegal immigrant on stolen land, which it just feels like they have no idea what they're talking about. No one wants to be lectured by them at this point. So I did not tune in. I saw, of course, snippets and reactions from there. And of course, I think they had a standing moment of silence for the Ice Out movement, which many apparently did not stand for from what I'm seeing on social media. So I do think it is a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's a show they have to put on at these events, of course.
All surrounded by walls and armed guards, private security officers, as they
and just blocks from Skid Row. And just blocks from Skid Row.
It's remarkable. And I remember our friend Benny Johnson showcasing that years ago. The walls across America that remain intact. And it's only for a certain group of people as they like to see it. But of course, President Trump and his administration working overtime to keep all of us safe. Before we let you go, Ashley Brassfield, part-time entertainment correspondent. I'm only being facetious. How about sports reporter as well? It's the New England Patriots. As you mentioned, Drake May, an amazing story. 10 years ago, a 13-year-old watching it in the same stadium, Super Bowl 50. He will be on the field in Santa Clarita, California, taking on those Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 60, and Sam Darnold, two amazing quarterbacks I think are great inspirations for young men and young people in this country, but it's sure to be a barn burner.
Absolutely. Well, I think those two quarterbacks have had quite the seasons. I think they're not the notable names, the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen repeatedly that you always are seeing in the Super Bowl. So I think we're getting a little bit break from that. I think it's going to be a really scrappy game. Of course, the Patriots had a run with the Super Bowls. It's been a few years since they've been back. So I think it'll be interesting for Patriots fans and, the rest of America to see if they're able to pull it out. The Seahawks have had a great run this season. I enjoy a lot watching Cooper Kupp, wide receiver for the Seahawks. Of course, they took down Matthew Stafford, who, as we all know, famous Georgia Bulldogs. So very excited to watch the game. I think it's going to be fun, and it's one of those games that I think brings everyone together. I guess we have to watch how the Super Bowl goes, though. I think that's where everybody's kind of on their edge of their seat for. And Goodell has said that they won't get political, but we'll see.
Well, we're looking forward to alternative programming and Turning Point USA, so you can turn off that Bad Bunny. We'll see where the Nielsen ratings go. Go over to Turning Point USA, some Kid Rock and some other superstars, and then right back to the great National Football League's premier event of the year, one of the premier events throughout the calendar in the United States of America and abroad. She was born for the red carpet, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ashley Brassfield, Daily Caller's Capitol Hill reporter. We'll see you very soon, and thanks for always joining us on the right side of history.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
And as we cover the latest from the Trump White House, we have that bill now going to President Trump's desk. So we will watch all of that in the coming week as more funding does need to take place ultimately. But at least for 1 week, we have the government open once again upon President Trump's signature, either later today or in the latter days this week. Thank you to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. RSBN 10, that's the code for 10% off right now. Antibiotics, ivermectin, mebendazole, hydrochloroquine, NAD+, methylene blue, just so many to choose from. In fact, over 300. With emergency medical kits, smart to have right at your door with these winter storms and the ice affecting most Americans, especially east of the Mississippi. That was a wild storm. And our friends in Mississippi and Tennessee perhaps being hit the hardest. At one point, over 1 million American homes had no power. Then it was down to hundreds of thousands, and we saw once again Democrat-led forest management, or lack thereof, knocking down trees in Nashville, Tennessee, with all that ice storm. Our friend John Rich reporting from Big and Rich that trees were exploding. So it's terrible there. We hope you didn't get too hurt in all of those winter storms. But regardless, smart to have allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. They don't do red tape. There's no bureaucracy. Only a pharmaceutical note, a U.S. licensed doctor on the other end to send those life-saving medications to you. So choose freedom. Choose bodily autonomy. Choose the right company at allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Code RSBN10 for those life-saving medications. 10% off now. Very essential this time of year with cold and flu season. Also, it's Valentine's Day around the corner, February, that month celebrating love. Why not purchase for your significant other the Miracle Cream known as angelpaste.com. They have several options there, but the Miracle Cream I use myself, vitamin B infused, non-GMO, non-chemical. Also a vitamin C option that is the orange option. Great to use this time of year for an extra boost of vitamin C, and the natural facial spray that you can use to go paint that town red, whether it's February 14th or February 3rd today. Either way, celebrate that in February with a Christian-based company that hires veterans. They're in Spring, Texas. They love the Lord. They love this country. They love you, the American people. Heck, they love RSBN, and we love them too. Experience the miracle at angelpaste.com. Thank you for sponsoring us on the right side of history. As today is a very special day for me. It's a celebration in the liturgical calendar for Catholics in the Western Rite, also Western Eastern Orthodox, even the Orthodox Oriental churches throughout the world, including the Anglican Church that celebrates the feast of Saint Blaise. He was a bishop and physician back in Turkey in the year 315. The special part about it is that people are blessed across the neck with usually 2 candles to ask for intercession against any diseases of the throat. And for some of you that know that, it's important to me because I am a cancer survivor myself, and it never passes me a day that I'm grateful to have used my voice in my career and for the viewers out there like you who tune in to Right Side Broadcasting Network on a regular basis to hear commentary, analysis, opinion, and ultimately the day's news. And the fact that I have the opportunity to do this, it's very near and dear to my heart. And thank you for that amazing opportunity. I do not take it for granted. I do not take it lightly, as that feast day is being celebrated today. And so those candles that will be used upon that blessing, taken from the presentation that's celebrated just yesterday, where Mary and Joseph, of course, bringing Jesus into the temple, and what began ultimately his public ministry that led to the cross. So it's a special day for many in a number of denominations and the faith, and we thank you every day for speaking out, because it's a real blessing to be able to live in a country where we have that First Amendment and those protections under that Judeo-Christian format as we celebrate 250 years of this wonderful country, all culminating into the 4th of July. We're looking forward to that celebration and that UFC fight that will be at the White House come this summer. In case there's any updates or breaking news, we'll be right here with you at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Again, make sure to like, share, and subscribe at rsbnetwork.com/newsletter. There you won't miss a minute of the action. Right here on the right side of history, we are your go-to election headquarters. The midterms is 2026 and live desk, and we'll be with you here throughout all of it. Be sure to register to vote if you're not registered, and make sure you get out there and fight for the right side of history. For all my colleagues here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Robert McNeely. You have a blessed Tuesday, and we'll see you again very soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. You can scan that QR code now, RSBN10. That is the code, easy to remember, for 10% off. This is ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, antibiotics that will save you and yours from bacterial and viral infections, NAD+, and much, much more. 200 essential medications and emergency medical kits, the meds you trust delivered to your door.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.